You are watching
It's
Xirtus.
one thing that we're able to find the patterns, like Freemasons or architects making these patterns that are related to the stars. It's another thing for the stars themselves to have some sort of celestial symmetry that's so perfect
Yeah.
that I mean, this is something that Isaac Newton particularly focused on was why are the celestial objects and mechanisms so made of sacred math that we can find them in every single pattern that we pursue. They're not just things that we make, unless somehow we're creating our own reality. Which this is like the inversion question. I think that the answer was kind of answered earlier, that math and sciences are proven to predate our realities. These Neoplatonic concepts like straight lines, curves, numbers, truth, and etc. We don't have a ruler that is a perfect straight line, but rulers emulate this divine idea of the straight line. And it's not like we're working democratically towards coming up with the straight line. It's that the straight line is a preconceived notion before there is anything in the Ein Sof, in the nothing, beyond space and time. There are these ideals, these principles, these divine laws. And so
Right.
that I think is the question or the answer, whichever.
Sephiro
I don't.
mean numeration, by the way. Just that's what the word means. So, and I think that that's kind of understated frequently when people are doing a treatment of Kabbalah, that you're literally just looking at the nature of numeration. But I'm sorry.
So I was going to say, and this is a whole can of worms, and I don't know where, I don't know what the litmus test is for viewpoints in this community, but we think that we have this mathematical foundation that's Hermetic or Neoplatonic or something like that, but at the center of that, so much really revolves around the concept of sphericity, this geometric foundation, and I wonder. I guess that starts with like Empedocles or maybe further back or something like that. I wonder if that we kind of take that for granted, but I wonder if that was a step in the wrong direction. And there's an even more foundational mathematics than that. This idea that like God is a sphere and how that is driving so much of the Hermetic Neoplatonic worldview. And I'm not sure that's right. I think it's worth reevaluating that.
Well, there's the idea that what is popularized is the flower of life, right? Like that basic geometry, and you can see the hexagram obviously from that. But you can extrapolate all the Platonic solids from that single figure, which is supposed to be what makes it sacred geometry. Like if there's anything that indicates the difference between that's geometry versus is your geometry even sacred, bro? It's that can you extrapolate all the geometries from the single foundational thing? Because if you're looking for something that's underlying everything that we're witnessing, like it's that template, and that's what Kabbalah is emphasizing, is that there's a template that gets repeated and repeated in all these different expressions. Like even if you just look at flowers, anything in nature, like it's a tree, it's lightning, it's our physical bodies manifest. It's like there's a ratio that exists in all organic life, and then there's what we're building, right? And we're building, whether by the hands or by the mind, these structures that are only going to be, they're going to pale in comparison to what it is that they're modeling themselves after. And then that's the significance. Like Fraser had to have known as he's writing all of that, like what these ancient people were trying to do and the intention behind that. And it's like, it's not superstitious. It's just the way things are. Like the best that we can do is understand nature, replicate ourselves after it, because it seems to be functioning pretty well.
And it's also something that Julian Huxley continued on. Well, Julian Huxley popularized, right, by bringing the Jesuit scholar and metaphysicist priest Teilhard Chardin into the public secular fold, right? Because he was essentially almost excommunicated. They didn't really want to do that, so they sent him to China, and he accidentally discovers the Peking man, showing that there's some sort of a spiritual and physical evolution that are connected to each other. And we're just now, as a civilization, kind of grappling with that, because there was this atheistic divergence, which was probably necessary for understanding things that the church had forbidden to be understood. But that is the irony of the church, right? Is that the church is the origin point of the search for truth. This is why these monastic universities like Cambridge are all designed around, they're like monasteries for the purpose of searching for God. And by searching for God, they're searching for the objective truth, right? And so this is what Chardin kind of pushed with his, I think we could call it hyper physics, you know, this
The
idea that there is a, yeah, geosphere, biosphere, atmosphere, noosphere. And the noosphere is really the foundation for the other three, which are the trinity of matter, right? So the space and time. So if you have radiation from a star, which is pushing the changes of symmetry of any sort of monadical particles, there's something that is reaching an omega point, like we talked about earlier with that horizon event of singularity. But that means that something outside of time exists, which describes the hypostasis of God, right, or the divine council.
So this is the telescoping nature of you know, the organism, but then there's the Marshall McLuhan, the technological coexisting telescoping that we're experiencing of the medium in which we're communicating, right? And so like right now you have it where, you know,
the medium is the message.
Yeah, that you had that the television replaced the radio, and then now we have the internet replaces the television, and people are still looking at their glowing tubes, like looking at that to provide what it used to. And now we're at the level where we're literally communicating through this other glowing mechanism that's actually superseding, it's already surpassed completely the significance of what television has been. And yet people, they coexist, right? So people are still looking to the thing that medium. You can shout at your TV all day long, you're not going to get anywhere. I can shout into Twitter, I might have a journalist who has some kind of influence responding back or whatever, you know what I mean, a scientist, whatever. It's like that interplay, like it's all about communication, and it's all about accessibility, and it's all about like the idea of what Terence McKenna spoke to, of like that, to like his significance of 2012 was that this idea of like novelty, that you could express an idea and have it shared across the globe, and people can understand it beyond language in an instant. You know what I mean? Like what is a meme? You know what I mean? Like this idea that communication it's rapidly increasing to a degree that this goes beyond control. So like when people talk about like government control, or like this kind of like Orwellian idea, it's like you can't, like there's a variable that exists in the mix as it stands, and it's like the Dionysian and the Apollonian. It's like there's this kind of twisting of the snakes, like they're both looking at each other, but they're distinct and not separate. But there's a progression that's happening that we can't, if you take a position in relationship to it, you're always going to have this kind of limited view of what's actually taking place. And that's almost just the nature of thought, is to be limited. You know what I mean? Like insight transcends that, but how you can't quantify it, you can't contain it. It's like lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean? It's like not really possible.